Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to your weekly Corner Späti. It is myself, Nick, joined with Yulia.
Hello.
And
Wait. Okay, no.
You're recording. Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
You can talk a little bit louder if you want.
Hello.
Okay, there. You feel better?
Yeah.
You feel like a man?
Yes.
Yeah, you feel like Kieran and I on the podcast
Yes.
just yelling.
Yes.
So recently in the news in Germany, if anyone of our listeners has been paying attention, the possibility, which is this will never happen, and we're here to educate you on why, of a possible what is called an AfD-Verbot, or the forbidding of the AfD, is coming in. A ban of the thank you, the proper English word. Thank you, Yulia.
You're welcome.
Has come back into discussion. I believe now for like the third time since this party's existed.
Yeah.
And it's always a very odd thing to kind of come around in German politics, because it's something that then I think half the population wants. If I'm not mistaken, I saw a statistic today that was 47% of Germans are in favor of banning the AfD. Even 10% of the party itself wants it to be banned, which we'll get to that later, which is just kind of silly because it's like we're doing 5D chess sort of bullshit mindset. And kind of going through just like the history of, a very loose history, mind you, of banned parties in Germany, how parties have been banned.
Because we have some.
Oh, yeah, there's two. And what these kind of moves mean in Germany, how they kind of compare with other moves in other countries, kind of a compare and contrast sort of thing. And then going to kind of come full circle to how and why an AfD, like a banning of the AfD could happen, why it probably will never happen, the responses from courts in Germany, which have been ridiculous, and the general perspective too from liberals, which is also one of the weirdest ones. But first and foremost, I guess, to get started is, which parties in Germany are even banned to begin with, and why are they banned?
This is the horseshoe theory.
Horseshoe theory be real in this country sometimes for some weirdos. So, it should be no surprise to anyone that the Nazi Party, the actual NSDAP, National Socialist German Workers' Party, after World War II, banned.
Surprise.
So, surprise. Turns out when you start World War II and commit the Holocaust,
you get banned.
And remember, these are West Germany banned these parties, all right? So when unification happened, these bans obviously continued over. And so it should be no surprise to anyone that the Nazi Party, illegal.
Reasons are obvious.
I don't think we need to go into the sense of why was the
why were they banned?
Why was the NSDAP banned? 3 hours later, you're gonna get no answer from us because it should be fucking obvious. The episode's not gonna be 3 hours, don't worry. And the other one is the KPD. All right, this is not to be confused with any of the other German communist parties that still exist, like the KPD,
the original,
the DKP, the Deutsche Kommunistische Partei.
They're not the same.
Or the MLPD, who don't count because they're too tiny. Or even other parties that then like the things of like Die Linke being its connections with the former SED and such like that. Are allowed to, of course, exist as much as the Die Linke is having a crisis.
There's actually a third party that was banned.
What's the third party?
SRP, the Neo-Nazi Socialist Reichspartei.
Oh, wow. When were they banned?
They were banned in 1952.
Oh, okay. All right.
So after... And they they saw themselves in the tradition of the NSDAP.
Okay, so they just did this thing of we are an actual Nazi continuation party.
They are northwest German party.
So the Germans who couldn't make it to Argentina, or the Nazi members who couldn't make it to Argentina, were just like, what if we try again?
They existed already in the Weimar Republic. Apparently, as a small party, very small. Because it was basically Northwest Germany. And then they tried their luck again, I guess, because I guess their members were kind of swallowed by the NSDAP. And and after that, as they saw themselves in the tradition of the NSDAP, they got banned, which makes sense. So okay, not so much to discuss there.
Thank you for the correction. So there are 3 banned parties. 2 of them Nazi parties.
Yes.
We're not going to go into why.
No.
And the KPD is one of the most interesting ones that then has still stayed true because it pretty much was the sense of West Germany was afraid of possible East German influence within the KPD because the KPD had a history of, regardless of their history to the resistance to Nazism, this and that and that.
Yeah.
Again, remember, Cold War, nothing fucking mattered. It didn't matter if the sense that they were like a lot of members of the KPD too fled World War II and stuff like that. If they weren't put into concentration camps and stuff like that.
The rest was banned as well. So they were already banned for the 12 years. Years
of Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
And then you have members too, like one of the biggest examples of members of the KPD who then went and fled, Walter Obrecht, who then ends up becoming the first leader of the SED and the GDR. Mm-hmm. There's a new biography that was written about him that is 1,000 pages long.
Oh shit!
That goes from his birth in 1893 all the way to 1945. That would be very interesting to read, but I don't have 1,000 pages worth of time because there were a lot of people who were part of the resistance. Obrecht being a very specific figure of that, who then lived. You have members of the KPD too, like Ernst Thälmann, who end up having like kind of a cult of personality around him. Mm-hmm. After he was killed in 1944, 1943, something like that, by the Nazis. You then have all this kind of East German, like the Thälmann Jugend, I believe, was a youth group, and he was kind of put onto a pedestal in East Germany as being a Nazi resistance, which he absolutely was. Very much was like a inline party Stalinist as well too. Mm-hmm. I think we have to be fairly, I don't want to say critical, because that was just like the strain of communism at that time.
Of course. I mean, he was a dude in power.
Yeah, exactly. So. And there's like, regardless of the, like the critiques that people have, like, oh, he was too much of a Stalinist. It's like, he was very important for the German communist movement at this time, very much was a resistance fighter and did a lot in Germany. But
the Red Army did march on Berlin did win Berlin.
Yeah, so and the thing is and like I mentioned with Obrecht, is that Obrecht goes into Moscow, of then does his whole like things within the the Comintern and whatnot, and then ends up kind of being shipped back to Germany when there is the I don't know what I'm about to say, reunification, when Germany is beginning to be split in two, this and that and that, and he's kind of like put as a figurehead, this and that and that. And the KPD still had a party that then rebirthed itself in West Germany as well, too.
They had a party, and they were the party that from 4 of the allies, were the first party that actually had the allowance to be a party again, which is very interesting. So the allies were basically like, or 4 were members of the... they call it here occupation forces. In Germany, which like I always think like occupation forces sounds so bad, because they basically
deserved it. Like, sorry,
it's like gave them the permission to be a party again after a 12-year ban under the National Socialists, the Nazis. Just call them the Nazis.
Yeah, we can call them the Nazis. We're not going to get into the whole.
I know. But every time I say that, I'm like, damn, wait.
Yeah, but the KPD was banned for very specific reasons, because then West Germany takes onto this perspective of just full-blown anti-communism. Yeah. The Communist Party of Germany was seen as being a possible thing of infiltration from the SED.
Yeah, especially because the KPD in the east, or in the Soviet area of Germany, sector of Germany, was merged with the SED.
Yeah.
And so the KPD in the West still had like very tight contacts to the KPD, and now merged into SED.
The SPD also was then brought into it as well. I have a very interesting thing that I found. I meant to take pictures of it, and I've been so fucking lazy because I never go home. Of a newspaper. Look, my apartment's so gross. It's not my fault, but I made it sound like I'm a disgusting little boy.
Yes.
No, so the KPD actually then in West Germany then starts trying in like the early, like the late 40s, after like in the early kind of like Reconstruction area of Germany, before even there was an East and West Germany, starts trying to like get together like the SPD and the KPD to like form under the SED.
Yeah.
In West Germany.
Yeah.
And so the thing was is that there were already then these previous attempts of then trying to influence then in the sense of, oh, this is why we need a unified left, because we need to then fight fascism from this regard. And I think, like, I mean, it's bizarre reading this paper, because you're seeing the people being like, here's an SPD guy who wants the SED, who lives in like West Berlin, or like the whatever, like, you know, it wasn't West Berlin at that time, but it was like in like Neukölln. And here's like a guy in like, you know, a KPD member from, you know, Charlottenburg or whatever, who thinks that, yes, the SED is a great idea. Yay. Before the SED even exists as a party, because this is before 1949, you know, because 1949 is when then East Germany forms, and this and that and that. And it's super interesting seeing in the sense that then that the concept of the SED was not even just like a East German only thing. It's like Verwirklichung, or it's like actual like realization was done in the East, and it became obviously, of course, the one party state. But so this threat of influence from the SED, from communism, from Moscow, this and that, and that obvious reason of why it would be banned.
That, as well as the 1950s Adenauer Erlass of like making every state employee like what's the word? Verfassungstreu.
That they had to
pay allegiance to
the new German Constitution.
Yeah, new German Constitution,
West German Constitution,
which led to a lot of communists losing their jobs, being investigated, ending up in prison, etc. Which also led, you know, like labeled the KPD as a verfassungsfeindliche, so like against the Constitution party that is against the Constitution. Yeah,
which is like still a problem today with investigations
because they
into
would
left-wing
consider
groups.
every communist as not being
This discussion will come up later, of course, with the sense of that then what does it mean to then be verfassungsfeindlich? We're going to use a lot of German terms that we're going to translate for you, but like
verfassungsfeindlich is against the Constitution, or an enemy of the Constitution.
Enemy of the state, more or less, is a way that we can then form it. So becoming verfassungsfeindlich.
So like by default, they thought the communists were already an enemy of the state, which is interesting because this party was one that first got the permission to be a party again in the new Bundesrepublik. It wasn't even the Bundesrepublik. It was whatever occupied in. Every time I say occupied Germany, it sounds bad. It sounds like I'm a Reichsbürger.
Occupied Germany.
As in Allied forces.
In a good way.
In a good way.
Good occupation.
Occupation.
The Germans shouldn't be allowed to be by themselves, is what we're trying to say.
Yes.
But the so this again, like I said, this discussion of that then who and what is verfassungsfeindlich will come into question later, because in order to then be banned as a party in Germany, you need to then be classified as an enemy of the state, more or less. Yes, and verfassungswürdig is also the other term. So like questionable to the Constitution, or like a questionable actor of the state. And so this then comes into which there's been later on groups that then have been investigated as in political parties. So we're departing from the 1950s and going into the 1990s and the 2000s. And the last. Okay, again, like we're going to not go into every single investigation into parties because that is too much, because there's a bunch of parties that then have probably been investigated on a very small level. But the biggest investigation of recent that was done in Germany was then that of the NPD, which maybe you can elaborate that on a little bit of who the NPD is. They still exist. They've actually been in European Parliament and in local parliament as well.
They're basically... they call themselves the Nationalist Party of Germany.
National Party of Germany.
Yeah, I know. I call them the Nationalist Party.
Okay, well, that's fine. You can call them whatever you want.
Yeah. Which is basically... I mean, come on, you're just missing a few letters from the NSDAP.
To put it this way, they have gone out of their way to pick their parliamentary color as brown.
Brown, yeah, exactly. So come on, yeah. You want to be the brown shirts, if you want to be like do a little SR kind of thing. They've been successful in some of the constituencies in Berlin as well.
Yeah.
In East Berlin, unfortunately, also in a few like of the.
Again, they've sent a representative once to the European Parliament.
Yes, exactly. But they're not very big. But there is a lot of like, so they always like try to say, oh, we're not the Nazis, we're not the NSDAP or something. But they have also a lot of old money there, like a lot of like Nazi money in there. There are former SS members that are financiers of the party, etc. They have really like ties to, the old class of Nazis. There is a thing that people always thought like, oh my God, NPD, that's just people with a Springerstiefel and Lonsdale shit and shit, the neo-Nazi kind of.
Yeah, Springerstiefel is like jackboots.
Jackboots, yeah, exactly. Which is not the case because they have some like smart dudes. Yeah. In their corners, like lawyers and as
boy, I said, howdy, does this also come up later?
Yeah, and people with old money, etc. So there was a time when they were actually a thing and also a threat. This is why this was considered like a ban, and like to be just to repeat this again. So to ban parties via Grundgesetz and Verfassungsschutz.
Yeah,
Verfassungsschutz.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you know what?
The German FBI.
Yes, exactly. The party has to be like the goals and the behavior of their members and voters
have to be against that.
Has to be against the liberal democratic Grundordnung foundation, trying to get rid of it or trying to violate it. And this is like Article 21, paragraph 2 or some shit in the Grundgesetz, so the German constitution basically. And yeah, so you have to either try to manipulate the democratic foundation of the state or try to get rid of it, basically.
Yeah, and so like, for example, there are like current investigations that are being done. Actually, one of the most interesting ones is the German state's investigation against the paper Junge Welt is done entirely on this paragraph right here because they believe in that class is a thing, and that they've literally actually there's a really interesting topic where one of the journalists from Junge Welt goes to like the Bundespressekonferenz, like the federal press conference, asked the interior minister of the time, Horst Seehofer,
Sam Horst.
Yeah,
I know.
And this clip, which actually very interestingly enough, Thilo Jung like posted it and was like very much in support of Junge Welt being like this is stupid.
Yep.
Of that, if the Grundgesetz says that this is the reason why this paper is being investigated because they believe in like Klassengesellschaft, like in like a classes exist and that there is class warfare, this and then that. They are a communist paper. But they didn't word it in the sense that then it's, communism. Horst Seehofer then says, oh, then if class warfare is a real thing, then I would be against the German constitution too then, and kind of like laughs it off.
Oh,
he says that dann, in German he says, dann werde ich doch auch Verfassungsfeind. Because even him, member of the CDU, acknowledges the sense that then class and that then classes are fighting against each other is a real thing.
Yeah, otherwise you gotta arrest a bunch of sociologists.
Yeah, exactly.
German sociologists.
Yeah. But I mean, I think it's very interesting seeing in the sense too how this paragraph is used historically a lot more recently now for left-wing groups.
Yeah.
Or, and in the case of that, then, Junge Welt still has an open investigation against them that then is very, out there in the open. There's actually a book that I want to get my hands on just called Verfassungsschutz about the sense of what, like the politicized nature of this
I find it really interesting that they have a Verfassungsschutz case against them while, like, you can't push a fucking ban for the MPD. Like, the thing is, like, oh, you want to continue with that? Then name the reasons for why the MPD wasn't.
Oh, no. You're like, I agree wholeheartedly with you in the sense that then it's like, are the values of then things that then like Junge Welt pushes like communist. Yeah, of course they are, but within a liberal democratic society, they're like they should be allowed to exist.
Yeah, I mean, you may or you may not agree with them. It doesn't matter. It's not like they're going to like.
They're the only paper who's investigated, by the way.
Yeah, it's not like they're going to start a revolution and or like dismantle the democratic state of Germany.
Trust me, they're not.
Yeah. So yeah, that's very interesting because
but he has like a small little chapter in this book about the Junge Welt investigation, which is very specifically interesting. I forget the author's name. It would be I really want to get my hands on that book. Maybe we could do an episode.
Is definitely bigger than the office of the Junge Welt.
Maybe now they're not.
They're
very small now. Yeah. Actually, the thing with
because we have a bigger one for you.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. The thing that also, just on a really quick little caveat, this is completely unrelated to this topic. It's more just a movie thing. Remember that movie Kriegerin that we watched?
Oh yeah, I do.
It's actually a very good movie about like a neo-Nazi who, maybe not good, but it's a very interesting German movie about like a neo-Nazi who like a girl who like gets involved in neo-Nazi.
Gets involved with neo-Nazis because they are the only people around doing cool stuff.
And the thing that's very interesting is that they have like a stand-in for like the NPD. And they're like, oh yeah, parliamentary Nazism, you want to do that? Pff, like, why don't you do like war? And then she like meets with like all these like insane old guys who then just like give her like a Luger or whatever, you know, and they're all like, see, like, you know, the NPD is not worth your time. If you want to do like warfare, just like do violence.
But that's the interesting thing because like when people were like this, that's the interesting thing with the NPD because of the parliamentary thing, you know, you have a lot because when people were seeing the NPD as just the typical skinhead or something, that's not, you know, like that was maybe their like a lot of their followers or their Fußvolk, how the Germans say or something.
Yeah, they're like boots on the ground. We're sending Nazis to Afghanistan.
No,
and it wouldn't be the first time. There really is like in order for it not given, yes, okay, does the right get a benefit of the doubt when it comes to this type of stuff? Yeah, probably. Yeah. In the sense that the NPD didn't get their ban for multiple reasons.
Yeah, one of them is this argumentation that the party isn't significant enough, that it isn't big enough. If you send someone to the European Parliament, I don't know, maybe.
But this was like 4 years after they sent, like the party massively took a hit.
It's like the size or the significancy of the party when you think, okay, they can't really.
Sorry.
Significance.
You're one of my friends who always asks when I make a mistake in English.
No,
correct
it's fine.
me.
I know. This is this was the argument for the NPD. Basically, is saying like, okay, they're not significant enough. They're not big enough. They're not really erschüttern das Grundgesetz in ihren Grundfesten. They're not really, not really like rattling, you know.
Yeah, they're not really a threat to the German state.
The pillars of democracy.
Yeah. And I mean, like they're right in that regard. Like, don't get me wrong, but does it mean the sense that this party should
you have to accept these dudes? Like, because like that's also the thing with right-wing groups in general. Why do they not get banned like that often? You know, it's like, oh yeah, they're not doing that much. It's just like, you know,
and the
beat up some, you know, like.
And the thing was is that when the NPD was getting these investigations against them, a lot of people just left the party and joined. I mean, remember too, this is also at the same time. The NPD investigations coming at the same time when the AFD already exists, and the AFD has already established itself as a far right-wing party. This is not in the early 2013 era when it's like, oh, the AFD, like, you know, we want to leave the euro, which was like, there was like the AFD's introduction into European politics was into the sense that they were like an economically like purely like, but when I mean like pure liberal, we've talked about this on the show, that then it's like, you know, there's very like, you know, Austrian economic school of liberalism, and they want like minarchism or whatever the fuck it is, like that era of that party of the AFD was already in the past, and the AFD was already then taking in people from these fringe right-wing groups, one of them being Björn Höcke, who was a member of the NPD, who then wrote for the NPD under the name Landolf Ladek.
Der Stürmer and shit like that.
No, it's not called Der Stürmer, it's called something else. But it's version of that.
Come on. I call it Der Stürmer because it's the equivalent of Der Stürmer in modern times.
You're calling things that you want to call them this episode, and that's totally fine.
I just call the NPD NSDAP and or not nationalist.
Yeah, the nationalist. Yeah, the nationalist German party.
German
sure.
party and the paper.
The National Democratic. That's the funny, stupid fucking euphemism. But
like Junge Freiheit, he wrote for and all of that.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. Junge Freiheit's even like more insane too.
Not to mix up with Junge Welt, different.
Yeah, Junge Welt, Junge Freiheit.
I know.
Yeah, horseshoe theory. Everyone's young. No, but and then there's also then the formations of more members appearing in groups like Die Rechte. Which are like
Die Rechte, die Republikaner.
Isn't there like another one called like Die Grauen or whatever?
Die Grauen. Even some people I don't think that they're actually maybe NPD members, but they also write phishing. Die Basis.
Oh yeah, German Al Qaeda.
Yeah, German Al Qaeda.
Those people.
Now we have
Dritte Weg. Yeah, of course. How could I forget? Yeah. But all these have kind of been more or less just like splinter groups.
They are maybe sometimes successful on a regional level or something, but they're not really like a threat.
I think that Die Rechte is the only one who's actually won in an election on any level of those.
I always think what the Republikaners stood for, the Republicans.
I think that they're just like, funny. The U.S. Republicans are racist and so are we.
Yeah, so are we.
Yeah, but the thing that's like
what kind of republic do you want, huh?
Yeah, like Die Rechte are like people who I would say of like the NPD is weak as hell now. Die Rechte is kind of like taking up the flag and Dritte Weg, so third way.
Yeah.
Literally third way.
Which is actually more international because there are third way people somewhere else as well in different countries.
Yeah. So third way, the third way is then obviously not the Bill Clinton version of like a third, sort of neoliberalism sort of way. They mean like the like Querfront. Sort of third different type of society that conformed of old fascism from like the 1920s when they were talking about like the third way back then, but like groups like Die Rechte and Third Way and whatnot are the ones that you'll see it pop up around in like international Nazi conventions, like Die Rechte. I'm just gonna call them the right from now on, just as how like Die Linke is the left. The right, written with a big R. They'll appear at like the Hungarian March for Heroes and shit like that. The like thing in Budapest where they go and like march for the quote-unquote heroes of Europe, a.k.a. Nazis, who...
my heroes of Europe.
Yeah, and they'll go there and appear alongside, like, other neo-Nazi groups around there, So, and the NPD also used to kind of do this, but because I think the investigation really bogged them down. And to be fair, too, like, fighting an investigation like that on the national level takes a lot of just, like, financial resources away from you as well, too.
And all the old Nazis died, and they took their money with them.
Yeah, damn, crazy. Womp womp. Or they're just invested into the CDU, but that's a whole other different story.
But
onwards to where we are then now today. So what we're trying to say first off is that then these parties that have been investigated previously, particularly again using the NPD as this case study, is not the ruling was that they're too small.
That they're too small, and I mean. There's two sides of this, like, what could stop you from being banned, and one thing is being too small. The other thing is you're already very much integrated in the electoral system, in the parliament. You have voters. You are basically representing a part of society. So if you ban them, this is a thought process behind this. You are interfering with the democratic process. And this, I think, would be more of an argument for the AfD. They won't say they are not significant enough and they're too small. Yeah. Something, especially right now with them winning like 19%.
If it won, they're polling at 20%.
They're polling, not winning. Yeah, but they're polling 20%. That this might be the argument that stops them. And that is just such a typical liberal bullshit again. It's like saying... we have to fight Nazis through voting, through the democratic process, we have to basically muddle through this, like just kind of, get through this.
Tripping on our dicks until fascism,
exactly.
pretty much, yeah.
Which is like not taking vulnerable groups into account and something like basically saying like, oh, it's okay, we have to go through this, even if they like gain power, some shit like that. People don't really think of like groups that will be immediately affected by that,
Yeah.
Because there are members of this party who would say like, oh, I don't want any like foreigners, which they would call them, like in this country anymore, and people that would, even like people with low income would be fucked by this party, even though they think they wouldn't. Some people.
Yeah. The economic policies of the AFD are purely to siphon money to the wealthy. Yeah, and also to like siphon money to the wealthy under like a nationalist German state. I think that these things are pretty clear now.
But the people that have the typical trust in like the electoral system are the people that don't care about these groups mostly.
And
they're like, oh, we just have to get through it, and democracy will save us anyway.
Yeah, okay, fucking Padme Amidala,
yeah, exactly.
like dumbass. So this is how democracy dies, with thunderous applause. Yeah, that'll be you in like next election when it's like a black-blue coalition.
Exactly.
And I think that then before we get into the individual, case of the AFD, we need to kind of talk about, other instances where we have seen parties being banned in Europe.
Actually being banned, yeah.
And the most recent one I think we can kind of take to reference is Golden Dawn, Christi Avgi in Greece.
Which is interesting because he also said something where there is a similarity between these two parties. When we said the MPD, losing members, etc., it was because there was a bigger party now, which is the AfD, which was kind of like a reservoir for different right-wing political convictions, because in the AfD it's not all like one, we talked about that in previous episodes, how you have like these typical like economic right-wing people, how you have the Flügel, the wing, basically the full-blown Nazi dudes, like quoting Goebbels in his speech and shit like that, Björn Höcke, whatever. So
yeah, they'll like quote, like they will literally quote Hitler and be like, I don't know who that quote's from.
Sorry, I wrote that speech.
I wrote that speech in 1932 in Nuremberg.
It was original. I'm not copying anyone here.
This is the thing though, is that then like the AFD is like really good at like toting that line. It's like that thing when like you like wonder why then like a lot of like Nazi like shirt stores can exist online, being like it'll be like literally things of like a shirt that says like 1888 or like 1488, or like it'll be like what's the one that we saw on that TV show, and it was like 14 and then it said Eva and then 88 and it said Adolf, and they're like they could just be team players, or that those are just nice names. Like maybe someone likes the name Adolf
and
they're
Nazi couple,
and it's like to understand how dumb the German state is, that rhetoric legally works.
I know, it's wild because I mean even like federal organization associations that are supported by federal money, like funds that are looking into these kind of symbols, etc. Make it very clear these are clearly Nazi symbols, know your Nazi symbols, etc. But like if you meet a dude on the street that has this on or some shit like that, or someone like in a photo or whatever, it's like, oh, maybe he didn't do the Heil Hitler salute. I don't know. He might be just waving or some shit like
exactly.
that. You can have a fucking grill party with your 88
exactly. That's the thing, is that then you'll see like there's all these cases of them like these like local groups, again the NPD who claims
they join.
But like a really interesting one was, there was like, I remember I saw a long time ago, it was like a reportage about like what are these like local NPD groups like. And then it had like, they had like a grill in the back.
The grill party I was referring to.
Yeah, exactly. It had like a grill in the back that said like Ewige Holocaust or whatever, some shit like that. So like infinite Holocaust or whatever, you know? And it's just as like, the references are everywhere there for you. It's like, but yet because they're not throwing up the SS symbol, or they're not throwing up a swastika, they're not doing this and not doing that, the German state can be like, Well, yeah, you're technically right. That's why when you have all these stuff of like, you know, a really typical, like, you know, you'll see people with like, okay, well, the black sun is you know, become a much different thing now because of the Ukraine. Yeah, exactly. Because whatever, fuck that. Even though literally Heinrich Himmler made that symbol.
Himmler's such a weird guy. Such a
yeah. And you can like literally go to the fucking castle that he made and see
Wilhelmsburg, which is in North Rhine-Westphalia, where he has a whole floor just
Didn't you like break into that when you were a kid or some shit?
Because neo-Nazis would always celebrate Hitler's birthday there. And so we always did like counter protests and shit like that.
That's
like
cool.
Left wing, like festivals. There's a lot of poetry.
Oh my god! Oh, I'm so sorry. Poetry slam.
I know.
Yeah, but I mean, this is the thing: is that literally, as long as it's not like 2 or 3 symbols, you can fly kind of whatever you want, and everyone knows that you're a Nazi. But you can get about you can
just
literally get around the legality of it and be like,
there's so
I
many
think it looks nice.
Yeah, there's so many t-shirts I've seen which are very problematic. My friend just told me the other day she saw something. Oh, I don't know what it said anymore, but it was very, very like obvious Nazi shirt. Something like
I mean, like Torsteiner as a company exists, like which then literally
people
is
are
like
still wearing their clothes.
Yeah,
it's obvious that they are Nazis. Like I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, are you even doing anything for Verfassungsschutz, or are you just busy?
No, of course
investigating left-wing
Well,
people.
I mean, also that I mean, like I mean,
are they just too many foul men, like informants?
getting too fucking convinced by the Nazi cause, like, damn, we just can't investigate them. They have too many points.
Yeah, especially if you have like. If not everyone knows your informant, maybe like everyone has like their informant. It's just a group of informants, but they're also all recruited from neo-Nazis, of course. So it's just a bunch of like.
So it's just like game theory.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I can't rat out my 2 informants go into a room.
Exactly.
But
nobody gets arrested.
I mean, also, I mean, we've done previous episodes about this as well, of how there are members within the German Verfassungsschutz, particularly than that of our boy Hans-Georg Maaßen, the former head of it, who had clear connections to certain organizations. Not going to name anything, but where he led a lot of stuff that the right, these ultra right wing groups were doing, kind of let them slide under the table.
Just today I saw something that they are looking into. The Verfassungsschutz is looking into him. He is the former head of the Verfassungsschutz, so the German FBI. They're now looking into his years of reign, maybe thinking, shit, maybe
he let a lot of shit.
Also,
exactly. Wasn't he the head of the Verfassungsschutz when the NPD Verbot didn't go through?
Probably.
Yeah, I think he was. Yeah. But anyway, Hans-Georg Maaßen, someone who has had like notorious connections to the furthest right-wing like organizations in this country, who then ran for local parliament, ran for national parliament in Turingen because they thought that if we get the most furthest right-wing guy to run for the CDU, we'll win this shit. And they're like, he fundamentally lost.
He's now a free agent. You want to sign him?
Saudi Arabia is going to sign him for 300 million euros.
He's going to be the new head of their football team where Ronaldo plays at. I don't know. Neymar's also going.
Yeah, Neymar went for 300 million, didn't he, to Al Hilal or whatever? Yeah. Oh God, that is to me just convincing me that Saudi Arabia is very scared that their financial projects are not working.
Yep. But we were talking about CFG.
Exactly.
Shit,
so sorry to get a little off track there, but so Christiavgi has been like the most notable one that then has been banned recently. However, they were banned particularly on the sense that they were doing active terrorism in Greece, and this kind of makes it a little bit more, a little bit easier for the Greek state to ban them when they can look at these examples of crimes that Christiavgi were doing, like incredibly violent crimes too, just like murder, like strings of murders, this and that and whatnot. So the investigation that then went and banned them also then imprisoned a bunch of their members. So when there was when the investigation against Christiavyi was happening, it also ended up with, I believe, 11 members of the party being arrested for terrorism charges.
Yeah.
So we have to then look at the sense of that, yes, okay, there was a legal process that made Christiavyi illegal. However, the fundamentality of it is that then it was because they were a terrorist group.
I was saying they actually murdered people.
Yeah, they murdered a shit ton of people.
So I guess the AfD has to murder someone.
Exactly. Well, I mean, like, again, this is the thing that then
because the AfD actually was involved in murders of anti-fascists, of migrants, of whatever, you know.
Or like members of, like high-ranking members of Christiavyi were like calling hits on people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know, where it's like...
They didn't hide it well enough. So.
They were very smart, because I mean it was a party of Nazi thugs, which like not to say that these aren't parties of Nazi thugs, but
they punched people in the parliament. They did. Yeah.
Oh, Christiavyi?
No,
they punched people on TV.
On TV, that's what I meant. Yeah,
the head of one of the members from the Koko A on the Communist Party of Greece. Yeah. But so then moving then towards the AfD. This is where it becomes, I would say, a little bit harder, because I think that we've kind of given enough of a pretext of why a banning of the AfD is going to be not only just hard to do, but near impossible. Because, okay, one, we're going to use the Greek example first. We're going to go back, backwards to the beginning of the episode. Mm-hmm. The AfD, as problematic as they are, and as bad as they are, and as much people who may be members of the AfD may be going around and like throwing Molotov cocktails at refugee centers. Yeah. Members of the AfD in parliament are not doing terrorism, unfortunately.
Yes.
I mean, not unfortunately. I mean, good that they're not.
I mean, I'm glad they're not.
Like, but into the sense that they're unfortunately, like, for the sense that then to make the investigation easier, the AfD is a bit smarter. Then it's like if there are people in the party who are doing crimes, it's not them.
One thing you got to see, this party like prides itself for being like the good German type. Mm-hmm. Which means like they have a lot of PhD people in there, like a lot of doctors, lawyers, shit like that.
The AfD's main way, which is an episode that I've been wanting to do for a long time, of getting, the AfD is really weird because although they're not in parliament, they have some of the largest influence in courts in Germany. Because all they do is sue the German government. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they do that all the time, even when there's something.
And they win.
When there's something, when there's something passed. Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. They actually do that. There was actually a scandal lately because they wanted to sue the German parliament about the weapon delivery, actually. And there's a scandal about this one guy that went to Moscow to ask for money for it. It was in the news lately.
From the AfD?
From the AfD.
Oh, hell yeah.
Not directly AfD, but, you always have referenten, people that, work in your office for one of the members of parliament. And he, allegedly he went to Moscow to ask for money.
I read about this too. I forget who it was. He's like, but yeah, like the AfD also too, in the sense when people are like, oh, X party has connections to Russia. The AfD actually does have connections to Moscow.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like 100% they do.
There are party members. There's even like an MP in Berlin who goes to Crimea all the fucking time and hangs out, and
Fred Durst.
Fred Durst, yeah, exactly. No, his name is Gunnar Lindemann, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Gunnar Lindemann, the Hamburg MP Olga Petersen. Mm-hmm. But there are several cases of that, and that is actually interesting.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That will be part of the investigation or not.
It could very well be, but it's also not like, I mean, it's not.
There was one member that went on a official trip to Lithuania and then crossed the border to Belarus without mentioning it in the report or anything.
Swag.
Financed by, the German state because it was an official visit.
Yeah. See, this is the thing that's always really funny when then they point to German liberals love pointing to the fact of the left is anti-war because they get money from Russia. It's like, well, no, the left is Die Linke is anti-war because they're anti-war. Yeah. The AfD is anti-war in quotations because they are pro-Russia, legitimately exactly. So that they want Russian influence.
Because they like what Putin is saying about conservative values, etc. Yeah. They like the economic ties Germany has to Russia. They find that more important.
And they don't like it in a liberal. Yeah, they don't like it in a liberal sense of that bridges, economic bridges bring wealth and prosperity. Yeah. No. They want more Russian influence in Germany.
They do. They would love to
up.
They would love to have the cliche of, the whatever on the social level, whatever the values are that Putin repeats in his speeches.
With
now,
the economic deregulation of the economic deregulation of like the 90s in Russia.
Yeah, exactly.
They
and whatever
want
the conservative ideas are for like on a like social
level. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're like the J.K. Rowlings of
yeah, exactly.
backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, wait, no, not
but
really.
There's actually an infight going on between the East AfD and the West AfD when it comes to this.
From the east side to the west side, gotta go to Moscow.
No, there's actually an infight because the East AfD is way more friendly towards Russia, while the West actually has this. The West AfD actually has this idea of anti-communism, not that the AfD in the East is communist. I mean more in the sense of Russia is the enemy, the Cold War mentality kind of thing, the American conservative kind of thing.
Why don't they just join the CDU then? I don't get that.
I know, right? I know.
Like, the CDU,
know, right?
the CDU didn't read enough Hayek. I can't join them.
Yeah, exactly. They're not conservative, like economic conservative enough. No, but that's interesting. Like, and this is actually something that is an important characteristic of the AfD is that they're not very homogeneous, which could lead to a problem also in the ban, because you could say, there are parts of it like der Flügel, the wing, the Thüringen AfD.
Yeah, the one that like Björn Höcke is a member of and stuff like
or
that.
Or the JA, the Junge.
They're already classified as
the Young Alternative, the Junge is the youth group of the Alternative für Deutschland, the AfD, which is super right wing. Like
they're classified by the
Verfassungsschutz. They're like Burschenschaftler. They're like fucking fraternity bros, white wing neo-Nazi
exactly.
kids.
But they literally have been classified by the again. This is not a pro. I'm not giving big ups to the Verfassungsschutz, but they have been classified as a right wing extremist organization.
But as I'm saying, they're not very homogenous. They can't even agree on the. They couldn't really too much agree on the corona thing back then.
That's why they lost so much support.
Exactly. Now they have it back because apparently what they call migration is a big problem again, and
I think it's just the easiest thing to kind of point at the current government. Yeah, exactly. You can just point at like the current coalition, be
and
like, this shit sucks. And the thing is that then the war is incredibly unpopular in Germany.
They don't even agree on that, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is interesting.
Energy, like cost of living crisis, because like Die Linke was never able to like cohesively like make a counter statement to this without just like, again, stumbling over themselves 1,000 times over. But they took up a lot of this stuff of that. Then just, to be fair, it's like, I get not that I get that why people would be like supporting the AfD. I get the sense of that then why you hate the current government, and then you see the CDU as like not an alternative for that, because
but there is an alternative. It's literally called
yeah, exactly. But it's like it's in the sense too that then it's like the AfD's been the only party kind of like really hammering it out on those critiques without also just like self-imploding, because like Die Linke has a current problem where then like half the party wants to support the war and the other half doesn't, and there's just like all these like contradictions internally with them right now where it's like they don't know how to fucking do anything, whatever. But and like Dietmar Bartsch literally just like left the party, I think like today or something like that.
Yeah, he did today, actually.
So
but there's another person that left the party, and that is the AfD. Because you see right now, I don't know if it's due to the investigations and a possible ban, if this is just trying to save your ass, because this is not news. This can't be news to you. But
I've been in the AfD for like 10 years.
Yeah, but wow, I've just realized, because the AfD City Council in Bad Kissingen, Freya Lippold-Eggen, left the AfD, I think, like this week, comparing them to the NSDAP in 1933, actually saying, like, she actually, this kind of like an anti-fascist slogan she used, wer schweigt, stimmt zu. So, who doesn't speak out,
is in support of it. Yeah,
agrees. Yeah, exactly.
Agrees, yeah.
And she said that the right wing push was a long time planned strategy. So basically, kind of pushing, which for a certain time looked like this was what they tried to get rid of, was these lunatics. Like the super right wing extremists. People quoting Hitler and Goebbels, like Björn Höcke,
the Björn Höckes,
Der Flügel, whatever.
He's like one of the heads of the party. So how
important.
fucking dumb do you got to be like, there's just this like secret cabal of Nazis who control the actual party.
Exactly.
How fuck off.
But they try to
I appreciate that she calls them Nazis because they are.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. They are. She is, though, a former member. So it's actually interesting, but maybe she is one of the dumb, economic, conservative kind of women that thought, or people that thought, damn, I think, I don't know.
Yeah, no. I get what you mean is that then the AfD had a time and place when they came around.
Yeah.
Very early on, but I mean, sorry, you've been in this party now for how long? And you're all like, oh shit, wait. After all the fervent racism, the fact that then that literal so many members of ours are literal card carrying neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa, oops.
And she herself labeled the youth group as right-wing extremist.
Yeah, no shit.
Which she's right.
Maybe she's a foul man. A foul menin. Frau. I wanted to use the Russian building of Mienka. Frau Mienka.
That could be. Actually, it could be. I don't know. But she was a city council. Can you be a foreman and informant and a city council?
What?
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, of course you can.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't. Oh, yeah, of course you can.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. What?
Wasn't there members of Willy Brandt's
yes,
cabinet who were members of who were actual members of the Stasi or whatever?
Yeah. Of course.
I mean, I guess foreign informant, but still. Regardless.
Totally. Why did I even question this?
And Willy Brandt's cabinet based and cool, and he should have never stepped down.
But one thing. Shit! Now I lost my train of thought.
That she was saying that they're Nazis.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that a member of the party then has kind of come out and said this stuff.
I don't know if she wants to save her ass.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that as well. But she probably also doesn't agree with that because, as I said, not a very homogenous group. I believe that there are still people who, believe that they're just economically right. And they're probably not your favorite political body or some shit like that. Someone you want to hang out and have a beer with. Definitely not. Also, never have you probably don't even want to speak to them or something. I'm just saying they're probably not full-blown neo-Nazi or right extremist. But it's interesting, as I said, there was this turn in the party where you thought they want to get rid of factions like Der Flügel, the wing, the really right-wing parts of it. When they kicked out someone like André Poggenburg.
Yeah.
Poggenburg. Because there were leaks of him, I don't know, calling people vermin. So, being racist against people.
You say this,
quoting Nazi slogans, etc.
Again, you say this, but Björn Höcke literally was a member of the NPD.
I know. Maybe he was not so big back then.
I can find his essays that he wrote under the name Landolf Ladich still.
I know. Landolf is already, it sounds like you're a part of the SS, definitely.
Yeah, that's the thing is I don't believe any of this shit because it's just right there in front. I can Google this shit.
No, but that is the question. Was there really a time where they tried to get it on track and be more parliamentary, super right-wing thing? I have the feeling some members of the party tried to do that.
Who was the one banned?
She said that it was a long time strategy to actually push the right wing.
I thought I said white wing. I was like, that too, yeah.
Right wing.
The white wing.
Man, I'm German.
No, you're fine. It's also white supremacy, baby.
Yeah.
Who was the other one? It was a band. It was Björn Höcke and band something or whatever, who then went to leave and then founded that economic.
What's his fucking name again? Oh my god, he's been so insignificant. Die Blauen, you mean?
No, Die Blauen was Frauke Petri.
That's Frauke Petri. What's she doing anyway?
I don't know. Probably being a weird chemist who doesn't know science. Who denies climate change?
I haven't seen her in a while. But yeah, I know who you mean.
Bernd Lucke.
Bernd Lucke. Oh
yeah.
my God.
These names are all fucking goofball shit.
Yeah, he founded this economic club.
They broke off and they have like orange as the color now. Also, like that's the thing too is that when you break up from this party,
don't do that to the.
Yeah, when you break up from this party too, you become insignificant.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that's also so funny to me too. Kind of going into like the last wing of this episode, kind of going to close it out, is that then the reactions from a lot of people. So there's been. We mentioned in the sense how like German judges have said, well, no, we can't ban them because they're too big.
Yeah.
As I remember, we couldn't ban the NPD, they're too small. So like, which one is it? Make up your fucking mind.
Exactly.
Like, that argument I don't believe. Yeah. Like, no matter how tiny or how big your Nazi movement is, I don't give a shit if it's banned. Like, you know, and the second thing is too, is that then a lot of liberals are like, whoa, hold up. If we ban these guys, they're going to have shoot-off parties. It's like, yeah, but then like you'll have 100 shoot-off Nazi parties that like...
And apparently they're going to be insignificant.
Yeah, it's like you've had AfD shoot-off parties that just like... Frauke Petry was like one of the most famous people in the party, got into parliament and then was like, yo, peace out. I literally just use this just for my own personal gains. The personalities in this party are so big that they'll die themselves out if they try to then go like, I'm sorry, you're not... Like Alexander Gauland has become useless. You have
just like some
he's just a sad old man with his little tie.
Well, I'm pretty sure he is like all for the
AfD Verbot.
No, it's one of the 10%.
The 10%. I do not get that one. Again, I said we would mention it later, and we did.
He's for the gain of power of the right wing.
Of course he is, yeah. But this is the thing, though, is that then you'll have a split within...
He's a Nazi grandfather.
Yeah, I mean, just like...
He looks like one.
You're going to have then a sense of like a split within this party of different factions trying to then like circulate themselves around something to like try to like manifest while they're also then being like personally investigated, which is very difficult because then all your finances get investigated by... like get seized by the state if you become then verfassungswürdig.
Oh yeah.
And so it's like that's a stupid argument because it'll make it really difficult for the AfD to function. This is not a pro Verfassungsschutz party, but it's like, you know, it's in the sense that then like, I'm sorry, if you're making it harder for Nazis to exist, like I'm gonna like, you know, be in favor of that in this regard. I think that you should stop fucking investigating communists who do nothing.
Exactly.
And, you know, actual like problematic Nazi parties.
Yes.
And then the other thing too, which is one of the funniest fucking dumbest things, I think maybe we can like close on this unless you have anything else to say about this.
I just wanted to mention that even the city council that left the party said that every moderate member of the party should leave it before it's like too late to apologize
for Nazism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there is like I think that thing too is that there is still a grace period.
I'm not like making her out as being
a
fucking hero. I'm just saying
she's an opportunist. I think in some regard.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah.
One of the funniest things that then I came across was an article from Spiegel. I simply just read the title and said nope, which was what we can learn from Weimar about why we shouldn't ban parties. Mm-hmm. And the funniest thing from them to me from liberals is how again they will literally stumble on their own dicks until they end up in fascism, which is no, we can't do this because our literal failed state in the 1920s shows us that we shouldn't be harder on Nazi. Like, are you fucking stupid?
I really don't get this argument.
Yeah.
It's really like, beyond me how you can take the Weimar Republic
a failed state, a literal, like, not even just a sense of like,
or
whatever it was. Yeah, I don't know how many it was, but it's like
I also thought 27.
I think it was something like that. Fucking stupid. But like, you're gonna use. I mean, we should be referring like Weimar should not be seen as some golden age of German liberalism. It is a fucking failed state. You know, yes, okay, there were liberal values, and that then it was like things were.
Party scene in
there
Berlin.
was also like violent thugs of SA members going around for like half of it, creating support for the Nazi party.
See, one thing we should see, like we should. One thing I thought about earlier when we talked about it is, for a moment I asked myself, oh wait, why did the SPD back then actually employed like Freikorps and worked with with the old like
why are they so hard on anti-communism, you mean?
Why were they so hard on communists? And I was like, oh damn, they're liberals. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You see it in Weimar Republic, and here we see it again. And actually, it's interesting what they did there in the Spiegel article, but maybe not what they wanted to go for. Because if they say you take Weimar Republic as an example, it's
do everything the opposite.
Yeah, it's like basically, oh, we're liberals, so we're gonna ban the communists and work with the Nazis. And this is again this argument. Oh, maybe we have to work with them. This is a democracy. We have to kind of.
Yeah, maybe Friedrich Merz wouldn't be a bad Bundeskanzler.
Yeah, and then AfD is also like part of the fucking coalition.
Someone who'd like entirely be willing to work with the AfD.
Yeah. Come on, the CDU already said in regional in regional politics that they would. Work.
It's already going to be happening.
It's the CDU or the FDP that will be the first ones working with them.
The FDP already
got elected
by the AfD.
Yeah, there was this whole scandal of someone being elected on the regional level through the votes of the AfD, with the help of the AfD.
They met with the AfD and asked for these votes.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a whole scandal because on the federal level, the FDP said, we're not doing this. We're not getting votes. We're not winning with the help of the AfD. But yeah, I totally see that there is what used to be a boundary, what used to be like a consensual boundary for all of these parties, CDU, SPD, etc., is definitely crumbling. This idea of working with the AfD or being in a coalition with the AfD.
Oh, for the CDU, you're absolutely right. We've already that.
I'm not saying SPD. I don't think the SPD would do this. Everyone would leave.
The SPD also is going to barely exist as a party next election because they're so fucking horrible. I still am surprised that they won that last election.
I'm just saying CDU. I see potential that they would do that.
The Greens won't, but
the Greens won't. No, FDP and CDU though. On regional level,
what is that, Bahamas coalition?
Yeah. Woo. Germans have weird names for the coalitions.
I don't want to live on a bad note, but I don't really. I'm so sorry.
I guess the ban won't happen out of the reasons that we.
That's not a good thing to leave on. Is the ban won't happen, and then we're going to end up in
it's a bad thing. So
yeah, of course.
I didn't think. No, I'm all for democracy. I'm all for the everything being solved by going to vote.
Yeah.
Vote the Nazis out of the parliament.
Yeah, Yulia says as she's being dragged away.
Yes.
Yeah, I this is very much Germany has Padme Amidala syndrome of that, everyone will be clapping in the Bundestag.
This is how democracy dies.
Yeah, exactly. I sometimes hate living here. Right now especially is really shit. AfD's polling at 23%?
Yay. Yes.
Yeah, last poll I saw.
Now it's time to ban them.
Yeah, I don't get but they're too big. You can also go up to stuff like party membership alone. Their party membership is actually not that high.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm no judge, but that whatever. Anyway, that has been a breakdown of this bizarre system of banning parties in Germany, which, again, like we said, don't have too much faith in this. If you've read an article about why this is going to happen, trust us, it's probably not. And we wish it would.
We do.
But also, there's no faith in the liberal state. We don't have anything to shout out, I don't think.
As we learned from the Weimar Republic.
Yeah, as we learned from the Weimar Republic, your failed state can't do shit.
They'd rather work with the Freikorps and shoot the communists than...
Than actually do productive, anything productive against fascism. Yeah. I mean, MF and history be doing that shit that it would be like Vita Horn's.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Well, we got nothing to promote, I don't think.
Nope.
And on that note, we will see you guys. Subscribe to the Patreon. Check out the bonus episodes. Remember, if you do subscribe to the Patreon, you get all that sweet bonus content for a quick, I think it's $5 US a month or whatever. I think it's different currency for every country that you're in, but nonetheless, cheap. There's 200 episodes in there that you can go through. We would greatly appreciate it because it lets us keep the show going. And we will see you guys either on the bonus feed or next week. Take care.
Thank you.